Hi, welcome back. This is going to be the last video we do before the engine comes out. We don't have to take the turbo out, but I want to. Something that we can do in the car if you have to replace your turbo or you want to upgrade. With the intake manifold off, it's going to be very easy to do. We're also going to remove the AC condenser radiator, get some of the stuff out of the way off the front, as well as the AC compressor. The compressor we do want to take off because we don't want when the engine comes out, we don't want the compressor still on there. And that's going to make it even easier to get the turbo out. So that's one of the steps you would take if you want to remove the turbocharger, is take the AC compressor out and go in that way. I don't think there's enough room to leave it hanging on the hoses. You probably have to discharge it. This one is already empty, should be, after 10 years or 100 years of sitting. I don't know which one it was, but it looks like 100. We'll get that out of there. Also, the fittings on the condenser, I don't know if these will come off without heat or damaging the threads. The condenser's pretty rough anyway, so we may end up replacing that anyways. Also, we are so short on time because of all the other work we're doing. Obviously, I don't even have a haircut again. We'll have the COVID days. But at the end of the video, I want to do a little shop tour, show you what we're doing and why this is taking so long. I'm going to talk to you about a few other things like Patreon and maybe a GoFundMe, but we'll discuss that as we do a shop tour, show you what we're doing and what a disaster we have in the background while we're working on this car. So I'm going to get started right now by taking the compressor out. I already took the oil drain tube out. Let me show you something about that. This is the drain tube that comes out of the bottom of the turbocharger. It's actually out of the engine mount. The turbocharger bolts to the engine mount, and this is on the side of the mount where the oil drains back down. I've been asked, well, how does the turbo not run out of oil when you shut the car off, because it just drains right back into the oil pan? Well, it doesn't do that because the oil level in the pan is about that high. So with oil pressure from the top feeding down to lubricate the bearings, this fills up with oil and it's forced down into the oil pan. When you shut the engine off, obviously no more pressure, so the oil doesn't flow anymore and it just stays put. That way the oil's always there when the engine restarts. And as we mentioned before, the cooler pump, the engine coolant, circulates this oil that's sitting inside the turbocharger and cools it before it has a chance to coke up and get crystallized. So that's ingenious by Porsche. Again, I can't say enough. Engineers are amazing. So the oil level sits up here, oil can't flow, and it stays in the turbo. Very nice. Pretty easy to take off. It's just a 32 millimeter bolt, banjo bolts, and then two 10 millimeters. Comes right off. Be sure to drain the oil first, though. That could make a mess. We're going to start by just take the lines off the AC compressor. It's already been evacuated. There's no refrigerant in it over the time frame it's been sitting, I'm sure. Just FYI, if you have a car that sits for a long time, you might want to start it and run the compressor a little bit so oil gets up on the seal. That helps seal the carbon disc in the front of the compressor. If they go without running for a long period of time, that seal can dry out if refrigerant leaks out. Just a little tip to just keep the compressor running from time to time, even in cold weather. This thing's freaking me out. I'm constantly staring at it, so it's got to go. Simple 10 millimeter headed bolts. I'm just tired of looking at it. And number 2. And more dropped hardware. Dang. Okay. Now we can get in there. All right, these are just 13 millimeter headed bolts, 6 millimeter by 1? No, 13. No. 8 by 125. I'll get it right. 8 millimeter by 1.25. That little broken neck still working. There we go. Yeah, nothing's in there. Okay. Pretty simple. Electrical connection, pretty straightforward. Nothing going on there. I already took this bolt out. If the compressor is loose, you can pull on the belt and it'll swing in. In this case, these bolts are really tight, and that's good because if you leave them loose, they fall out and break the ear off the other side of the compressor. All right. Back bolt is a 13 millimeter headed bolt as well. The front is 17. And there we go. Here we go. Take the belt off. Also runs the alternator. We'll get new belts. Always wear safety glasses. If I had prescription safety glasses, I'd be wearing them, but I'm blind with the glasses, never mind without. Should look into that. Dang it. Okay, there we go. And a replacement compressor, get a Condenser. Don't worry about the cost. The Condenser will last almost forever. They're really good. Well, we're here now. We're at the base of the turbocharger. We're going to take the 2 bolts out of the bottom of the turbocharger. And the one long bolt that is the closest, the lowest one, you'll see it in a minute. It's really close to the steering knuckle. That wouldn't be so bad because we could somehow manipulate, we'll get it out. But in this case, the head of the bolt is stripped really bad. How it ended back up in there, I don't know. So we're going to take the steering shaft off so we can get something a little bit bigger in there and a little bit stronger to try to get this out. We might have to use different methods to get it out, but take a look at it and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is going to be a little bit difficult. This is the bolt we're talking about right here. And if we turn the knuckle a little bit, we can get a little bit better access to it. Probably this way. Yeah, but it still didn't help. We were just trying different things to see what would work. So we need to drive something in there to get that out. And that's going to be our project for right now. We're going to take the steering knuckle, the link off, and give us more access. So let me get geared up for that. This shouldn't be too bad. There's a bolt, just a pinch bolt where the steering column comes down. I'm just going to break that loose and hopefully get Mr. Broken Neck on there to get the nut off. Not waste too much time. Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Mr. Broken Neck. Yeah. Fake me out. The whole bolt's turning. All right. It's loose too. We're going to replace that. Dang it. And just a standard pinch bolt here. And this one. Same thing. A little clumsy. I got everything moving here. Okay, not too bad. Bolt is stuck in there a little bit. Might be able to use a ratchet to unscrew it. It sometimes gets stuck on the little cutout for the pinch. the pinch part of the steering shaft. There it comes. Kind of a tight fit in there. There we go. All right, the bolts are out. I'm going to pry this up off of the rack, gently of course, and it should slide up on the shaft for where the steering column comes through the firewall. You don't want to just take this off if you're going to be putting it right back on again. It has to be marked because the steering wheel will be off in the wrong position. And also, if you have an airbag car, you want to make sure the steering column is locked so the airbag is in the center, the wheels are straight, or at least relock it after you get the bolts out so everything is back where it belongs. And then mark it carefully so it goes back on in the same place, or you will have a steering wheel off one position. Do not turn the steering wheel because it'll turn the clock spring and damage the clock spring. That's a contact for the airbag that rotates. So you have to be real careful with that. We don't really care. We don't have an airbag, and all this is going to be new anyways, and we'll set this up properly when we go back together. So that should not be an issue. Let's see if this will come off. All right, we got it out. We got it out. It was a little tougher than before. We don't pre-plan these things, so sometimes I'll make sure something is going to come out before we go on video, just to make sure we're not wasting your time fighting this stuff. This one we did not, and it was very difficult to get off the splines, so we just took a wedge and just hammer the wedge in there a little bit to loosen it up on the splines, and the same on the top. That's what it took to get it out. And just a little bit of tapping with an aluminum punch, and it came right out. But sometimes things don't go as planned. I'm going to try to clean out these the hole, the Allen head, and see if I can get this up in deeper because it's really sloppy. Maybe some lapping compound. Now it's damaged pretty good. I'm gonna try to drive this up in, see if I can get that to go in deeper. With the steering shaft now, we got a straight shot out of pretty close to straight. Okay, we got lucky. You see, we're not exactly straight, but it's working. That might have to stay. There's not a lot of clearance to get that out, but that's okay. The turbo will come off, and we can get that out after. The other bolt is in good shape, and we have a little more clearance to work with. That one's further up. We need a shorter extension. Oh my gosh. Spoke too soon. We got it. Okay. I can't swing the big ratchet in there, and I don't need the big ratchet now. So. There it is. Okay, on the exhaust side, in the last video I had mentioned that this was the discharge, then I said no, that's the inlet. I was right the first time, it's a discharge. I kind of knew that, but I couldn't get that point across. But yes, it is the discharge from the turbo. There's one bolt up by the flange where it bolts to the block. That gives it more support because this turbocharger is bolted directly to the top of the engine mount by the oil output. Once again, an amazing design by Porsche. A little tricky, but there it is. Simple. And I'll show you that when we get it out, where it goes. Okay, we're back on top now. Everything else is disconnected underneath. The turbo assembly is loose. We just have some hoses to take off. Could have done that first, but it doesn't matter here. We're just going around doing everything that needs to be done. One point though, as I moved the strut for the hood over there, a couple things I want to mention. One, normally we take the hood off, and we're doing all this work anyways, but we don't have a place to put it. We'll show you that at the end of the video, what a mess we have here and how we're trying to coordinate where everything goes. Secondly, if you're going to change hood struts, some of you may have already done this. The hood strut is a little bit longer than where the hole is, where it goes in, so it extends a little bit higher. It's very difficult to put in. So you push the hood up higher. If you push the hood up too high, the corner of the hood will break the windshield. This will push down here and crack the windshield. I've done it twice. You think I would have learned the first time? I just did it again thinking I won't do it second time, and it broke. Got to be careful pushing the hood up to get these struts in. I ended up finding a way to wedge something behind it and pull it down to line the hole up. Yeah, not fun. Okay, so let's get some of these hoses out of the way now. That'll open up this area quite a bit. Wow, stuck. You'll see how much nicer we're going to make all these. This is a little too sloppy for me. These clamps don't belong on this car. This is a not a recirculating valve. This just discharges the air from the turbocharger when you slam the throttle shut. Some of these they make a duck call when they discharge. It's funny. Look that up online. Duck call turbo discharge. There we go. It's all hardened up. We'll get a new one and make all that nice. Okay. So these are the coolant pipes. Everybody, make sure you flush your coolant at least every 2 years. And the top, this is the oil feed line. Engine oil comes in here under high pressure. I should get Mr. Broken Neck in here, but we don't want to overwork him. Okay. A simple flange with an O-ring fitting. I've only had to replace one of these once. It was leaking oil. If the engine overheats, it tends to cook a lot of these O-rings. Then you have a lot of work to do. I'm going to be careful not to kink that. We'll probably still use that. Those don't seem to fail. Well, here's our turbocharger. This is the flange. Yeah. This is the flange I was talking about with the bolt in it underneath. Just bolts to the engine block. And then this is bolted down to the engine mount, which you can see right in there. This right here. It's all part of the engine mount assembly. This is the other coolant line from the pump. And where's the other one? Other one is down underneath. No, I'm sorry, this is the other one right here. we're going to remove the radiator and the AC condenser and this really beautiful bracket here, which is part cooling system, part bracket, which is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these hoses off and get this out of here, and I'll show you how this thing is made. Only the turbo has it. The normally aspirated cars don't have that. But yeah, very nice. We'll just get all these hoses out of the way. All this has to come off anyways. But this is a nice little tool. It's made for the European hose clamps. One side is 6mm and the other side is 7mm. Makes it convenient so you don't strip out the tops or they keep slipping. This grips them really nice. But it does not remove the hose for you. Okay, here is our water pump, molded hose. Dang it. There we go. That's both parts. And we got that one. This one here, that's going to come off with it. Here. And we've got, well, we'll take it off the water pump. 6mm. Luckily we have a drain pan catching some of it, not all of it. We'll get that cleaned up after. There's actually a thermostat inside of here. Judging by the way that water was coming out, there is no thermostat, but there's supposed to be a little tiny thermostat in here. And that regulates the temperature for the water cooling for the turbocharger. When we go back together, I'll show you how all that goes together. Right now, it's not too important. Lost my socket. Okay, what else we have? You can buy these flexible sockets in a lot of different places. Sometimes it's better to have one for 6 and one for 7mm because it does pop off and stay on the socket, as you probably saw. But you can get lost pretty easy. Okay. Be careful with the radiator. The little nipples for these hoses are plastic. It can crack really easy. The hoses are moving pretty good. But if it was going to be trouble, I would have cut the hose rather than damage the radiator. This radiator looks like it's been replaced. Okay. Alright, we'll just unbolt the flanges. Kind of hard to see over here. It's dark and very greasy. The power steering system uses transmission fluid. It always finds its way out of these hoses. Gets really messy. Okay. Here's our assembly. Really lightweight aluminum. It's anodized aluminum. See how the coolant pipes are all attached together in this bracket. And this is the air cleaner mount. It's all built in. These rubber mounts are now hard, so all that will be replaced as well. Dang. Dropping everything. But that's it. Really nice welds. Just excellent work. Okay, radiator time. This, if you can see these here, there's supposed to be a little rubber block in there, a little round disc with a metal top on it. That bolt here, if you can see this bolt, goes down and puts tension on this to keep it straight and keep it in position. These are backed all the way off, and there are no pieces in here. I don't know why, but the radiator's loose. Easier for us, but not correct. So we're going to take that out. More hoses. This was not bolted down. There's a captured nut here for this. That was not there. Now, good. More coolant. Okay, let's see the fans. We're going to test these. We'll make sure they're working properly. It's a thermal fan switch. This is what tells your fans to come on. There's 3 terminals. One is for, wow, we're really getting hot, so the fans come on high. And then there's standard on-off, which is, it goes through a resistor. So the fans run slower, quieter. Don't use as much current. Did. And hose first. I have a feeling I'm going to wear coolant. So we'll come over here. Clean up in bay 1. Alright, we're going to mop this up and be right back. Okay, we're going to now, the fans have to come off. There's just 6 bolts. As you can see, it's loose. The hoses were holding it in. Remember, we did not take these off. So we're going to just take the 6 bolts out. Well, 5, there's one missing. Alright, and we'll just finish taking the top bolt out. So there were supposed to be 6, there were only 5. And the fans will go down. And there's our fan assembly. Okay, the radiator should come out now. So the hoses were holding it in, nothing else. There's a few. There we go. And one radiator. This might be okay. We'll pressure test it and see. Alright, radiator's out, condenser time. These look pretty rough. If they don't come off, we're going to have to heat them. If they come off, then we'll be very happy. But let's try to get them off. I've got a 22 thin wrench. And get this 22 thick wrench. Oh my gosh, look at that. Ah. I thought that was going to be stuck. Okay, well. We'll try to get that out without damaging the condenser. We'll get some penetrating oil in there. If this won't come out, then we'll take it off of the, well, it is off the compressor already, so we can take it with it. This one goes up to the receiver dryer. If this doesn't come off, then we'll take it off up top, or we'll heat it. We'll see. That's happens here? 17. Wow, incredible. I've gotten pretty lucky on this car. That one came out. Let me take that bracket off, might make it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Dang it. Okay, the 2 anchor points, and then there are 2 pins that go up inside. Looks like we need new bushings there. All right, there it is. Pretty amazing that it actually came out. A lot of impregnated stones here, little road debris. We'll comb all this out and hopefully it'll survive. Give it a quick paint job. I don't see any rotted fins, so we'll see this one come back to life. All right, we're pretty much done for the day on this car, the 944 Turbo. I do want to just take you around the shop and show you a little about what else is going on and why sometimes these videos are delayed. So come with me and take a look. You're going to see parts everywhere. We're trying to get a bigger shop if we can, but over here we got a VW engine out of a Renault Dauphine, which has been converted to a Volkswagen drivetrain, which is kind of interesting. Our plating system, we use this for plating parts. All the little parts on this 930 engine we're doing today, and we have some other things that are finished for the intake manifold, all the fixtures, the nuts, and all the hardware, banjo fittings that for the fuel distributor. All that has been replated. 928 engine for the 928 project outside, which hopefully we'll be getting on video one of these days. 65 Corvette carburetor. These parts are getting ready to be plated, and then that'll go back together. Looks disorganized, but actually I know where everything goes. Again, 930 engine, we're doing wiring harness, transmission, also for the 1965 Corvette, and more parts for the 928 engine. A box of parts here. Let's see, our movable cart with vise and grinders, because there's no place to put it. 65 Corvette, very nice original car. It was restored, but everything matches, everything is perfect, everything is General Motors. It's really well done. We're just doing some finish up work on it. We did not restore the car, but we're doing some repairs now. It's probably an older restoration, but we got a few glitches with air conditioning and manual transmission. Now this way, it's our conventional parts cleaner. We have a Volkswagen street buggy here that we're putting together for a customer. That's going to be all custom. Toolboxes. We have a big toolbox coming, but it's not here yet. We're working on getting that. That machine over there, you can barely see it. You may have seen it in the background. That's our wet blasting machine. It's sandblasting with water. That makes a really nice finish and doesn't damage any metal in the process. We don't have a compressor yet to run it, but that's getting worked on. We should have that going soon. More parts everywhere. This is the Renault Dauphine that is now Volkswagen powered. Funky looking car, very custom. The whole pan of this car is all Volkswagen Beetle. It somehow fit perfectly. Somebody local here in Naples, Florida builds stuff like this. He did a beautiful job on it. We just have a little clutch trouble, so we're going to take care of the clutch for him. But that's it on that. Ferrari 360, we have a check engine light. We're working on that. Oxygen sensor issues. Nothing serious. This is the 930. You've seen probably many of the videos back here, just sitting here collecting dust. This is the one we're building the engine for. This is such a nice car that we're going a little overboard on the engine to make sure it is very beautiful and matches the rest of the car. We're going to make sure the dust comes off of this very nice and neat. And out back, because we don't have a lot of parking, it's a nightmare parking around here, we sort of take up the back alley here. 1970 SL, we have a fuel injection pump, has to be sent out for repair, plus some upholstery work. May not have the right time frame to get the upholstery done, but that's something we hope to get done. MGB, it's an MGB. You know it's got a list. BMW, we don't work on a lot of these. I bought this car just to flip it. Nice car. 73 Dodge Challenger, came in with a list. That's ready to go. Our 914 that you've seen inside, now it's out here going back in tonight. 68 Camaro for little odds and ends. Decent car, convertible. We do a lot of work around here, and we don't want to. We want to do more projects for you guys. We want to do more Porsches. I want to show you how to rebuild the automatic transmission in a 944. We want to do a series on a 928. All these Porsches that we love so much, we want to do more videos. We don't want to have to rely on customers' cars. It just takes too much time away from all the fun we want to have. So what we're doing is setting up a Patreon account. If you want to give, I'd really appreciate it. We could use a little extra help. And with that, you'll see the different levels that we're going to have for you to give back to you. Some video stuff we're going to do, and maybe some outtakes. There's quite a few of those. We also want to do a GoFundMe for certain projects that we want to do. Hopefully build those without having to worry about income from others. That just takes too much time. Also, we have a Mercedes-Benz 380 SL. It's a car that I got a while ago. We finally got that ready to come in the shop. What we want to do with that, it's not worth a whole lot of money, but what I'd like to do is take a late model drivetrain from a 91, 92 SL 500 and put that in. That's a project that we'd like to do. I'd like to hear about it if you guys are interested in seeing that. That's something we want to do. So all of this stuff that we want to do, we can't get it all done because we're doing so much other work just to support the shop. So Patreon and a GoFundMe, look for them. We'll try to make it all worth your while. So thanks for watching, and I got to go get dried off now. Thank you.